quick what Lightroom is, how it works. So if you're kind of on the fence, like you don't know if you should be using Lightroom or Photoshop, if you haven't used either one before, or maybe you've always used Photoshop and you're thinking about maybe Lightroom might be a little bit easier, a little bit faster, just give you some things to think about. So I will tell you straight off the bat, I use Lightroom for a good 90%, 95% maybe of all of my photos. There's not a whole lot that I use Photoshop for anymore. I do still think Photoshop has a place, and you could just get Photoshop and you could do it. It would be awesome. You could really just run with Photoshop, but I think Lightroom is easier. You can organize better with it, and it's just pretty awesome. Lightroom's pretty awesome. It's pretty powerful once you figure out how to use it, and it's just user friendly. I think it's just pretty intuitive and it just works. I don't know. So let's hop in. Right here you'll see this is the library, which right because I have a crazy rating on. Let's take that off. Okay. So when you first open Lightroom, you're going to create a catalog. Now, if you're shooting a junk ton of photos, thousands upon thousands of photos a year, maybe you should make a catalog for every month. Me personally, I don't shoot quite that many. Maybe I do. Maybe I should switch actually to every month, because I'm already at 651 photos. But there's some of those, a good bit of those I'm going to need to take out, because I took just like time-lapse stuff, and there's just a bunch in there. So you could do it month to month, but right now I have it set up for every year. And then you can create collections, like I need to start, and I could have, January, February, March, April, whatever. I could put month to month, or right now you can see I have the Jamaica file that has all my pictures from Jamaica, versus having like all of this crazy stuff. So you can have that to organize your stuff. Also at the top, like if you click Metadata, I can click Nikon D71, and that is only going to show me images from that camera. So this can be a little more important, probably if you're shooting weddings and you have a second shooter with a different camera or a different lens, and you want to distinguish your shots from their shots, or if they're only shooting details, maybe you want to go back and work on those images later, and you want to work on the main photos that you took. You can separate from camera, you can separate from lens. Tons of options in there. You can do custom stuff, real crazy. So you can do that to organize your stuff. The big thing that I use the library for is when I first import all of my photos, I will go through and rate them. You can rate them, you can flag them, you can do crazy stuff, but I like to just use rating, which basically means, like, look, we'll see, this is a sequence shot on the GoPro. I just took a bunch of photos at once. So we can turn on just single image. Hold on. Fill. You can zoom in and be like, oh, well, that's kind of blurry. See, that's kind of blurry. See, I don't mark that one. Now this one is a little more in focus. That might be okay just to say it is. So I will press any number 1 through 5 on my keyboard to rate it. So usually I do a 2. That's going to rate it to 2. Okay, that's kind of blurry. This one's not 2. Not blurry. 2. Not blurry, 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 blurry. Kind of okay. So let's just say we did that. Now what I can do is I can click this 2 stars over here, and that's only going to show me images with 2 stars, equal to 2 stars. You can change it to less than 2 stars, less than or greater, equal to, sorry, or greater than or equal to, or just equal to. So this way, when I import my photos, I can find all the good ones real quick, all the sharp ones, mark them, and then just show those. And then I can go through and edit those and know that those are the good photos without dealing with all the other ones and trying to remember which ones are crap or which ones are having to delete them at that time. See, this way you could go to this drop down menu, click unrated, and all the ones that you would have unrated at that time would be photos you didn't want. So you could, select them and you could remove from collection or whatever, delete them, and be done with it. It's a lot faster, I think. So that's basically what I use Library for. Organization and kind of sorting out photos straight out of my camera. But the big tab that you are going to be using is the Develop module. So this is what it looks like. You have your picture in the middle. You have controls over here, sliders. You have adjustment tools here. You have a histogram. You have presets, so you can put different kind of crazy presets in here. And if you want to, I haven't really used presets in a long time. You can create snapshots. So let's say we're editing this photo and we thought this looks pretty good. We can create a snapshot, and then later on maybe we made all kind of crazy adjustments and you didn't remember, like way in the future, and you didn't remember how to get back to that original image you liked. You can just come click on the snapshot and we'll take all the settings back to what it was at that time. So that's pretty cool if you want to get an image that you think you like, and you can save it kind of and go play around, and then if you don't like it you can just come back and not worry about, oh no, I'm not going to do this all over again, and kind of guess with the settings that I used. You also have a history, so everything you've done to the image, just like in Photoshop has a history, you can go through and go back through steps that way. That's the same thing. And it has your collections again, so you can go through them and find photos that way. But that's pretty much just that side. This side, the right side, is where all the magic happens. You'll have a histogram, so you can click on like the midtones, and you can drag one way or drag the other way. Oops. Okay. And you can do kind of adjustments like that. You can show clipping of the whites and the blacks, so you can tell if you're blowing things out or losing detail and shadows. You can do white balance. You can do exposure, contrast, all this stuff. And then you have a tone curve. You have hue, saturation, luminance, the HSL. We have detail, all this stuff, effects, camera calibration. You can mess with all of that stuff if you want to. Plus, on top of that, we have a crop. So you can do different crops. You can enter custom ratios. You can adjust the angle of stuff. Rotation. Oh no, I kept it like that. Okay, there we go. Well, don't do that. What happened now? As shot. Okay. We have a clone / healing brush, which can get you pretty decent results. So I can click that and it will come over and just clone that. Or you can do healing, and you can, do that. So you can somewhat do that in Lightroom. You can kind of heal and clone stuff. It's not better or easier than you could do it in Photoshop, but you can do stuff, small things. We have a red eye removal tool. We have a gradient tool. So if I jack up the exposure and drag, you can see it makes a gradient of normal exposure to the new almost 2 stops more exposure. And you can do anything. You can adjust all of these in that. We also have like a kind of like a mask tool. You can make adjustments this way, and you can invert it, you can feather it, you can again change all of this stuff, and you can change the shape and whatever. You can do cool stuff with that. Or we have the brush tool, which is very handy in different situations. So if you wanted to, let's say, paint the sand, and you can click that to see what you've painted, and we can turn it off, and we can say maybe we want this sand to look a little bit lighter, like the sun's really shining. You could do that, or you could drop it down, make it look like it's in some shade. You can pull color out and make it look a little more maybe like white sand, or we could bump it up and make it look like some really yellow sand. You can just paint different areas in, and that's real helpful. Excuse me. Maybe you got a little area of shadow and you just want to brighten up that area to bring back some detail. You can do that without having to screw up the entire image. So you have those kind of local adjustments. And then you have your global adjustments. So those are the 2 tabs that I use all the time. I don't worry about the map. I don't do the book, slideshow, print, web, whatever. I just don't worry about that. I don't. I just worry about these 2. So once I'm done editing, what I will do is I will right click on the image usually. I'll go to export and I can click export. Cool. Now over here you can see it says my presets. And I have one for Instagram. I have a print version, a screen version for just like web, online, or if I'm doing a time lapse, I have a video mode. So on the screen I can adjust it. You can see how it takes down my my image quality to 80% JPEG. I can rename it. You can have different naming. You choose where you want to export it. You can set the sharpening, change the resolution to 72. You can watermark it if you so choose. You can choose what kind of metadata you want to incorporate. And you can have different actions that you automatically happen after it's done processing. So it has some cool stuff in there. And this way I do some, this speeds it up so I don't have to choose these options every time. If I want to print this image, pops it up to 100%. It keeps my resolution at 300 pixels per inch, or DPI, because you need all the quality you can get. And you can choose like glossy paper, screen, matte, and how much sharpening is applied to it. So it's just a real easy, way to export your photos. And you can select, hold shift and select multiple photos and hit export. And then you can actually put presets right here, so you can just go screen and it will save it to the designated folder that you provided. So it's really fast once you learn like shortcuts and stuff. You can just kind of scoot around and really adjust things. And let me show you, like, not on the brush, under basic, you have these cool sliders, so it shows you in real time what stuff's going to look like. So there's no guessing. You can just dial it in as much as you want, or you can hover over, use your arrow keys, and make slight adjustments. So it's really user-friendly. You can see what you're doing. you have some pretty good control over what you're doing. And it's really faster. Once you get used to it, like Photoshop is so much slower if you have a bunch of images. It's crazy. You can really just like whoosh. Once you get your workflow down, you have a good file system to import your files, and you have a good organization for your catalog, and you have a good presets for exporting things. You can really get stuff done pretty quickly. Let me also show you. Let's go back to all photographs. Where is? Yeah, not that. Yeah, let's go back to these crazy pictures of me. If I came over here, let's just do some stuff real quick. Let's take down that. Let's actually drop this down a little bit. Drop this down, pull this up, increase some contrast, add some clarity, add some vibrance, and maybe some of that. Whatever. Okay. Let's just say you like that. Now I have a whole bunch of photos that were taken the exact time with the exact same settings. You can just hold Shift, sync. We'll just check all right now. You can pick and choose what you want to sync across these photos. Hit synchronize. Boom. And it has now made the same adjustments to all these photos, so they all look the same. So if you have something like that, that's going to speed up your workflow a lot too. You don't have to go one by one and make adjustments. You can just adjust one. As long as it's the same lighting and the same camera settings, you just apply it to all of them, and you just edited, you know, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photos in like 2 seconds. Super quick. And it's awesome. I will say that Photoshop is still necessary. If you're doing like fashion photography, and you have models and you need to retouch their skin, or doing commercial photography and you need layers upon layers of adjustments and different corrections, Photoshop is the way to go. But for somebody like me that's just taking real basic photos, yeah, I mean, I don't need to make crazy adjustments all the time. Sometimes I do, and I will go to Photoshop. Sometimes there's some stuff in the photo that I want to remove, and it's just easier to do that in Photoshop, and there's more ways to do it to make it look better, to get a better result. So I'll do it that way. In the end, it's all up to you, but I think just for basic processing of your images, Lightroom is super quick, efficient, it's organized, it's great. The good news is, if you are on the fence on which one you should get, you can be like me. I need both. I use both. Adobe has a photography monthly plan for the Creative Cloud, and you get Lightroom and Photoshop for $9.99 a month, which is crazy cheap. Crazy cheap, guys. And it's so worth it. If you're doing photography, you love photos, you love doing stuff in Photoshop, $10 a month is crazy cheap for what you're getting. You're getting a lot of power for that. Because just Photoshop by itself, before they started doing like the Creative Cloud subscriptions, oh, it was crazy expensive. So, yeah, $9.99. It's the way to go. You'll get both, so go download it. I mean, it's awesome. So yeah, I guess that's a basic run through of Lightroom and kind of how to use it, and we'll be doing some more tutorial type stuff on how to process images and do different effects, and we'll get a little more in depth. But that was just a basic run through, so hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.